Joining me today is Professor C.K. Prahalad, author of The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid and Professor of Corporate Strategy at the University of Michigan. Well, welcome, Professor Prahalad.
And nice to be here, Will.
Thank you for joining us today. For those who are not familiar with your work, could you take a moment and summarize how companies can do well by doing good in their efforts to serve the bottom of the pyramid consumers?
I think the starting point is approximately 5 billion people have been below the radar screen of the large organized sector, including multinational corporations. So the question is, what if we turn these 5 billion people into active micro consumers and micro producers so they can effectively engage in global commerce and get the benefits of global commerce? The basic premise is these 5 billion people, if they are mobilized, organized, this could be the next engine of enormous growth around the world, and the companies would benefit, therefore they will do well. At the same time, they would dramatically improve the quality of life and access to goods and services, and certainly the capacity for getting a better livelihood. Therefore, they'll also do good.
Professor, you recently co-authored a paper for the Harvard Business Review in which you explain your theory of co-creation and the benefits of cooperation between corporations and NGOs in their efforts to reach the bottom of the pyramid.
So I think whether you start from Seattle or Davos, people have started assuming that civil society and the large company necessarily must have an adversarial relationship. Obviously, they have very different ideological starting points. But increasingly, if you look at what is happening, the large company, in order to access the bottom of the pyramid consumers and also to mobilize them as producers of goods and services, needs to get the benefit of NGOs who have local knowledge and local trust. So both of them now seeing that there is a value in convergence between the global standards, global knowledge, global scale, and local trust, local understanding, and local responsiveness.
Professor, what do you think is the single biggest impediment to the adoption of ICT in India?
What ICT's biggest impediment for me is we are not building rapidly viable, sustainable economic models which are self-sustaining. Either it is subsidies from the government or CSR or purely philanthropy-oriented NGOs. They can all experiment, but if you want to sustain, if you want to scale rapidly, we have to build economic models. Technology is an integral part of what happens, but that's only one part.
In closing, is there any particular word of advice you'd like to give to a policymaker or the leader of an NGO or maybe an enterprising startup about how they might address bringing ICT to the bottom of the pyramid?
I think we have to start by asking ourselves, how do we democratize opportunities and how do we democratize commerce? And what it really means is providing same information, same opportunities for people across the world, whether they're rich or poor, rural or urban. And ICT provides a vehicle for doing it. ICT is not an end in itself. It is the social and economic transformation that ICT can enable that makes it interesting. So I think ICT has a huge role to play.
Dr. Prahalad, thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, delighted to be here.
Thank you.